Hey everybody, it's Deep Cosmic Space Wizard. I hope you guys are having a great day or a great night, or whenever this is catching you. I hope you are having a great one. And without further ado, this is my Metroid Prime 3 Corruption review. Okay, so Metroid Prime 3 Corruption came out on August 27th, 2007, and it sold 1.41 million copies. It did better than Metroid Prime 2, which sold 1.10 million copies, but it did worse than Metroid Prime 1, which sold 2.84 million copies for the GameCube. The game was once again directed by Mark Vicini, who also directed Metroid Prime 2 and Metroid Prime 1. Mark Vicini also directed Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate and Resident Evil 4 Virtual Reality. And I gotta say, I trust Mark Vicini with his creative direction. He made Metroid Prime 1 and 2 after all, and those games are really good, especially Metroid Prime 1, just absolutely exceeded expectations. So, I really trust him and his creative direction. And just to give a little bit of backdrop for Retro Studios and the development process, Retro Studios, going into this project, they had really high ambitions, and during the development process, they had to scale back a lot of things and cut a lot of things out because the Wii's hardware wasn't as powerful as they thought it was going to be. So they wanted 60 frames per second. They wanted Samus's ship to have more interactive capabilities. They wanted you to be able to interact with Samus's ship in different ways. They wanted it to be more open world. But the Wii, this wasn't powerful enough, so they just had to cut a lot of stuff out, which I was kind of able to notice now that I read that after playing the game. You kind of get the feeling that they didn't get to do everything they wanted to do. So let's start with the story of Metroid Prime 3. So right away, the game is completely different than the other first two. You're starting off in a Samus's spaceship, which has never been done. Samus's spaceship has always been used as a save hub to save your game, and to replenish your health and to replenish your ammo. You would always see Samus going in the ship, but you would never go in with her. So this was really cool to see this aspect of the universe that we've never got to see, and it's such a iconic part of Metroid. So being able to go inside the spaceship was really, really cool. And with the Wii motion controls, you get to move your arm around and select certain buttons, and different buttons do different things, but mostly it's just serves as a hub for you to travel to quick travel to certain locations. You can't actually manually fly around in an open world. It's just you picking where you want to go, and then the spaceship has a cinematic and it goes somewhere to whatever planet you're going to or whatever. But all in all, as I said before, they wanted to do more with the spaceship, but because of technical limitations they couldn't. So it was still cool to see, even though I wished there was more for it. And so you start off in the spaceship, and you're surrounded by the Galactic Federation, which are other humans that are fighting, for humanity, and they serve as basically as the military for the universal, humans, military basically. So you're flying. You're being called in by the Admiral Castor Dane, who is the commander of the Olympus spaceship. So you fly into Olympus, and you kind of go through debriefing or whatever. You gotta identify yourself, and you have to go through decontamination processes, and you go through all those things and security and stuff, and then you're able to access deeper into the spaceship, and then you meet up with Admiral Castor Dane, and there's 3 other bounty hunters. So right away, the game's even continues being more different. Right away you feel this game is more expansive. You're interacting with a whole entire fleet. You're interacting with commanders, and You're getting actual inhuman dialogue with actual voice acting in the game, where you're getting the details of your next space mission. And there's these 3 other bounty hunters, and their names are, forgive me if I pronounce these wrong, but Rundus, Gore, and Gandrada. I believe I said that right, Gandrada. These are the 3 bounty hunters that are also just part of the Galactic Federation. And that has just never been done in a Metroid game before, at least not to my knowledge. And so this is all like really like jarring and just like, whoa, like this is like way different. Why are there so many people? Why were there other bounty hunters? Like, I'm used to just being by myself on a weird planet, not knowing, what's on this planet, and just being steeped in mystery and isolation. And now we're just fully populated with a whole bunch of other people, and there's other bounty hunters. So once you get into the room with Commander Admiral Castor Dane, he starts telling you the next mission, and it's to clear a virus from these organic supercomputers called Aurora units, which each planet has an Aurora unit, and it's just like a giant organic supercomputer that is used to manage the planet and communicate throughout the planet and do other various tasks that a computer would do. So yeah, all these organic computers have some weird virus, so it's like up to you and the bounty hunters to go check it out. And the first place you're supposed to go is, I believe, Norion, the planet Norion, which is the Galactic Federation's like home base. But as you're getting debriefed on this mission, these space pirates like warp in, and they start, there's this big like space battle that's going on now, and they start like boarding your ship, and all the sirens are going off, and you got to like fight your way through all these space pirates, and you got to escape the spaceship, and you got to go back to planet Norion and defend Norion from the space pirates now, because now they're attacking, the home base. So you make your way through all the space pirates, and you get back to your spaceship, and then, you get to interact with the spaceship again, and you go to planet Norion. And, when you get there, okay, yeah, so you land on planet Norion, and you have to activate the planet's system defense. And as you're going to activate the cannon that shoots the Leviathan seed that's coming towards the planet, Dark Samus pops up and fights all 4 of the bounty hunters, Samus and the other 3, and she like overpowers you guys and like knocks everybody unconscious, but Samus has like a little bit of energy left, and she gets up and she presses the button to shoot the cannon, and she successfully defends the planet and stops the Leviathan seed from hitting the planet. Now cut forward like a month later, and you wake up in like this cryogenic like medical bed thing, and there's this nurse, and she's like explaining to you how you got a virus from the phazon energy that Dark Samus was shooting at you, and now you have this virus inside of you, but they allowed you to convert the energy into your plasma beam, so now you can like access the energy from the virus and use it as a weapon. And this is really cool because it allows you to in-game go into phazon mode, which gives you the super powerful ability. And it could kind of trivialize the game, because phazon mode just makes you so powerful that it makes all the enemies super easy. And this is a cool concept because it gives a reason for a game mechanic through the story, and that's really good game design. However, it made the game so easy, and the way that they try to balance it felt trivialized, because even though you had to use your health in order to go into phase-on mode, you got energy canisters so easily, and they gave them to you so readily that it never really felt like a penalty to use your health as ammo. And also the enemies in the boxes just dropped a lot of health. So it's like every time you would finish a fight after you went into phase-on mode, you'd basically get all your health back. So yeah, it just didn't feel balanced, and it just made you really overpowered. However, the idea was cool. So yeah. So now you're given this information that other planets have been hit with these Leviathan seeds, and the phase-on energy is starting to corrupt the planets, and if you don't remove the phase-on seeds, they will inevitably become, corrupted planets. So now your next mission is to go to these planets and to get rid of the seeds. So the next planet you go to is planet Brio. And Brio is a really cool planet. It was inhabited by these reptiles. This reptile alien species. And there's a lot of there's volcanic areas, there's thorn-filled jungles and rocky and barren cliffs and ancient structures and stuff, alluding to a race, once living here, an ancient race. And if you collect all the data from scanning and stuff, the background story is pretty cool, because the reptiles, they ended up meeting the Chozo, who they traded technological knowledge with. And the Chozo were it has been in the Metroid series ever since Metroid has been out. The Chozo are this super ancient race, and they're really wise and harmonious with the universe. And so these reptilians, yeah, they met the Chozo, and yeah, they traded knowledge with each other. And this caused a split in the reptilian race, because now there was half of the reptilian race was oh yeah, we got this new technology, and we have this new knowledge and science, let's start going in this direction. Whereas there was a lot of people who were against this new wave of thinking, and they were kind of afraid of the technology, so it caused a rift between the races, or the reptilians. And they ended up going to war with each other, and they ended up fucking up their planet, and the whole planet became pretty much inhabitable because of all the just the warfare. And what ended up happening is the science people, they started losing the war because they were running out of resources. So they kind of realized their impending doom, and they also realized that the planet was just screwed. So they found the last inhabitable places on the planet, and they used the last of their resources to use their technology to accelerate the growth of the fauna and the plant life there, so that way the planet wouldn't completely be uninhabitable, and it would restore the planet over time. The scientist faction for the reptilians were eventually completely wiped out by the more older form of thought, side of the reptilians. And yeah, that was kind of the history for them and what happened on the planet. And this also made the planet extremely resilient to phase-on energy. So yeah, that's also really cool, because the planet was just, already had defenses against this phase-on seed. And the overall level design for this place is really cool. I do love the themes of the levels compared to Metroid Prime 2. All the worlds are just really interesting, and the fact that you're not just walking from a snow level to a lava level on the same planet right next to each other, it kind of gives it more environmental logic, like you're not just smushing, like I said, volcanoes and snow caps like right next to each other. There's, when you go to an ice world, it's like you're going to a different planet. When you go to a lava world, it's like you're going to another planet. So it makes sense. And yeah, just the design is just really, really cool. You get that sense of like the ancient like beings were there. There's all these ruins, and you could feel like the effects of the war from the past. And all the enemies are very varied, and the combat's really fun. However, it's easy. The game just overall feels like it was meant to appeal to a wider audience to me. I feel like they dumbed it down a lot, and they just made it way easier to appeal to a wider audience. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. However, personally, I prefer the little bit more, having to like think and like really like survey the levels, to try to understand where I need to go next. I like having the secrets be more secretive and a little bit more difficult to figure out. But I do appreciate the themes of the worlds, and they were really nice, and the variety of the enemies, and just the overall combat just felt faster and better. So moving on to the next planet, it's called Elysia. So now Elysia was really, really, really cool. Probably my favorite planet. This planet is it has all this like gas surrounding the planet, and it makes it really uninhabitable. So what happened is the ancient race, the Chozo, they built a sky world where all these like they created these buildings that just have all these like jet fueled propulsion systems that keep the city up in the sky above the clouds, and the Chozo were using this sky zone to study the atmosphere of the planet. And they created these robots. They called them the Elysium, or the Elysians. And these robots, they maintained the sky city. And at one point they were used to help the Chozo like do their studies and stuff, and to just maintain the city. However, the Chozo eventually left, and the Elysians were just left there to just live on their own, However, after 200 years, they started running out of supplies and fuel, and then the Galactic Federation came in, and they made alliance with the Elysians, and they gave them fuel in exchange for details of the research and the planet corruption. So when you get here on this planet, you're on all these, old Chozo built structures that are it's all flying in the sky, and you traverse through this planet on a grappling hook through these like sky rails, and they're really fun to go through. And as you're going through them, you got to shoot these little enemies, and you got to like shoot these obstacles and stuff that are in your way, or else you fall and you got to start over. And those are pretty fun. However, it's like you kind of got to always do this as you're moving through the level, and I can see for some people that can be frustrating, especially if you keep on falling and having to start over just to get to the next side of the sky rail. But for me, I found it fun. It really reminded me of BioShock Infinite, which I wonder if BioShock Infinite took inspiration from Metroid Prime 3, because Metroid Prime 3 came up before BioShock Infinite, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I thought it was really fun, and eventually you unlock like little cannons that can kind of shortcut your way like across the sky zones, so you don't have to take the light rails as often. And so the game did a really good job of like cutting out the backtracking, which was really nice, even though the game felt like it was easier because of that, because you didn't have to really like think about where to go so much. It was way more obvious as to where to go, and there was less secrets and deviations, and it was just more obvious as to where your path was supposed to go. So like that was nice. But yeah, it just made the game overall easier in a way that kind of just took away from the Metroid feel, in my opinion, a little bit. But it was still nice not to have to constantly backtrack. You know, the game always felt like it was paced well. I never felt lost really as to where to go, and I played the game, you know, super fast. It took me like 2 days to beat, and it was just, you know, really well paced, and I was able to get through the game without much struggle. And yeah, I had a blast, you know, going through it. It was a really just well-rounded experience, and this was definitely one of the best levels. I love the little robots. You know, they're just, you know, they're neutral, a lot of them, and they're just doing their thing, and you know, they're just kind of cool. It reminds me of Star Wars or something, and it's really nice. And then you unlock the Valhalla spaceship, like an area to go to, which is like this like it's destroyed basically, and there's still parts of it that aren't destroyed. And you go in there, and it basically serves as like this information hub, and you got to take these energy tanks that you find on other planets, and you got to use it to like activate certain parts of the ship to continue forward in the ship. So like you kind of unlock more of it as you go throughout the game, and it's a cool little like hub to go to. And there's like these Phazon Metroids there, and there's all these like Phazon infused enemies, and it's just a nice little area to basically, you know, unlock some unlockables, and also it's used to progress to the end of the game later on. So then, yeah, then the next planet you get is the Space Pirate home planet, which is super cool. Like visiting the actual Space Pirates planet was just such a thrill. This is probably also one of my other favorite planets. I liked all the planets a lot, really, but it was just such a cool concept to go to the Space Pirates planet. And the planet is wrecked, you know, with perpetual acid rain. So the whole entire planet's like architecturally like just buildings and like, you know, technology and stuff, because it, you know, there's no like plants or anything really, because it's all just acid rain, you know, constantly everywhere. So they had to build all these like, I guess, metals to prevent the acid rain to, you know, from burning through everything. And it seems like the Space Pirates don't get hurt from the acid rain either, so I don't know why that is, but I guess they have some kind of technology that protects them from it. And you have to, you know, you have to unlock the upgraded spacesuit that protects you from the acid rain. And you start to see like this planet is also corrupted, you know, with the Phazon seed. And, you know, you start realizing that Dark Samus has been basically controlling a lot of the Space Pirates to do her bidding because they're corrupted with Phazon. And you could also see the Space Pirates were kind of doing like maybe some Phazon like experiments and trying to use it for themselves. And this is maybe why, like, you know, Dark Samus was able to corrupt them first. And then you have this escort mission where you have to escort these Federation troops to blow up this train wall later on in the game. And this escort mission, it feels good, but it's just so anti-Metroid that it just kind of threw me off. But all in all, it was actually pretty good. You also fight Gandrada here, and I think she's one of the coolest bosses because she transforms into other things. And she's just an overall fun fight, and it's pretty difficult. You gotta like switch your like X-ray razor or X-ray vision in order to see her when she's invisible, and you gotta like, you know, change up your fighting style depending on what she's transformed into. And it's just a very variety filled fight, and there's a lot of different forms that she takes, and it makes it really fun. And then this is when you go fight Omega Ridley. You know, when you go into the Phazon seed and you go blow it up, you fight Omega Ridley there, and it's just cool to see Ridley. He's just such an iconic antagonist in the series, and I always love seeing him. However, you know, in this game, it was just so easy for me. Like, once you find out the weakness of the boss, where you got to hit them, it becomes super easy. Especially with the Phazon mode, you just tear through the bosses. But it still overall was a cool fight. I just still wish that the bosses and stuff were harder and the Phazon mode wasn't so overpowered. So yeah, after you blow up all the seeds and beat all the bosses from all the planets, which all the bosses from all the planets, by the way, are all the bounty hunters that you were working with, because they get corrupted by the Phazon. So you end up having to kill your bounty hunter like companions. And you know, the first one on planet Norion, or I'm sorry, Bryo, on planet Bryo, you fight Rundus, the frozen guy. And then on Elysia, you fight Gore, who's like this giant like robot type guy. Yeah, and then on the space pirate planet, you fight Gandreda. And all the boss battles are really fun. However, just like I said, too easy. So yeah, and then after you beat Omega Ridley, you basically get on board of this Aurora unit, this organic supercomputer that has been infected with Phazon. Dark Samus had the space pirates steal this Aurora unit and take it to planet Phazon, and she used it to like control everything on planet Phazon. And you board the Aurora unit, and then after you get the code from the Valhalla ship with the energy tanks, you're able to warp speed, like you open up like a wormhole to get to a really far part of the galaxy, the universe, to get to planet Phazon. And so you get there, and then the Galactic Federation is with you. It's like this super epic, like climactic moment. And the Galactic Federation is like fighting the space pirates in this space battle, and then it's your job to go land on the planet and destroy the Aurora unit and defeat Dark Samus. And like going through the planet is just super trippy, super alien. You know, you're fighting all these like weird looking creatures, and you go into like overdrive mode because there's so much Phazon on the planet, you know, that it's like growing to like an exponential rate inside of you. So it's like you're just in constant Phazon mode, and you know, it's slowly like your bar is slowly filling up, and if it fills all the way up, you like become completely corrupted and you die. So like you have to keep your Phazon meter low by getting health or whatever, I believe. And yeah, and then you fight your way all the way down into the center of the planet or whatever, and then you finally fight Dark Samus. And Dark Samus, it's a pretty good fight. It's fun. However, once again, it's just too easy. And then you see her fuse with the Aurora unit after you beat her, and then you got to fight her and infuse with the Aurora unit, and then you win. And then that fight's pretty fun too. That fight was, I feel like, actually fairly difficult. You know, I didn't die at all during the fight, but I do feel like it had a good feeling of difficulty compared to Dark Samus. And once again, I feel like they should have done more with Dark Samus. But, you know, I understand like how hard it is to implement all these mechanics and these ideas, you know, and they did a good job for the technical limitations that they had and all that for the Wii. I'm always wishing for more with the battles that you have with Dark Samus. So then, yeah. So after you beat it, you blow up the planet, you guys wormhole back, and you escape, and you save the day. You save the universe. And at the very end, you know, Samus is like, you don't know if she's alive or not. You don't know if she escaped the planet before it exploded, but at the very end, Commander, whatever his name is, he's just like, did Samus make it? And then like they're unsure, and then Samus, like you see her coming in like from the background, you know, and you see her spaceship flying up, and then, you know, Commander, whatever his name is just like, yeah, like he's all happy that she's alive, and she like throws up like a thumbs up or something like that. It's just like a super like just very cheesy kind of ending, but it's really suiting for like a Metroid game. You know, it's not like super like lengthy ending. Like you get all this like, you know, backdrop, and you don't get all this like big resolution. It's just kind of like, yep, we saved the universe. Like, yeah, I'm Samus. I'm a badass. However, we do get the cutscene at the end where Samus is kind of just like mourning the loss of her bounty hunter friends or whatever. And just kind of didn't really have a big impact because there wasn't really that big of an emotional connection for the player towards the bounty hunters, because there was just not enough time given with the other bounty hunters to really feel a connection with them. However, yeah, I guess I could see like Samus having this connection with them, so it was kind of cool that they added that, but it just didn't feel that impactful to the player. Yeah, and then the game's over, and then if you have the, you know, 100% ending, you see, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's like flying towards your spaceship, you know, but Samus doesn't realize it kind of thing. He's like following you. And that's pretty much the story and all the planets and everything. And then so like, you know, other things that I'd like to talk about, just over the overall game, like the pacing was just so much faster. You know, the game was just more action packed, more expansive. You can tell they were trying to really flesh out the universe. However, this kind of, it started off in a way where I didn't really like it, because it didn't feel like Metroid to me. It felt more like Halo or something, you know, and I didn't feel that isolation that I wanted, and I didn't feel like that complicated, you know, intelligent like level design, even though the worlds were really cool and the themes were really nice and the visuals were very varied and refreshing. It just didn't have that level of depth to it on just a strict like level design aspect that I felt like was missing. I feel like they just dumbed the game down too much. It was too easy. The secrets were just so easy to find. Like I think every energy canister except one without looking up a guide, and that's kind of unheard of for me for a Metroid game. And it just really trivialized the balancing with the phase-on mode, because you just had so much health that it didn't matter if you used your super ultra hyper powerful mode all the time. And then the upgrades, like you get the plasma beam and then the nova beam. The upgrades were cool. They felt nice. The visual like representation of your upgrades, you know, the changes from your original plasma beam to the upgraded plasma beam or whatever, and then to the nova beam. It was cool. I liked seeing the upgrades, and they felt more powerful, unlike in Metroid Prime 2 where they didn't feel as powerful. But you couldn't switch between the beams, which I kind of missed. And they traded out the ice beam for the ice missiles now. So like you were still able to freeze people, but it was with missiles, and that was cool. But I just wish you could have changed to the beams is all. You know, they also reintroduced X-ray vision mode, and this was cool because you were able to like look through certain parts of walls and stuff that had certain textures on it, and you were able to shoot your nova beam through the wall. And like that was a cool concept, but it was only used like really rarely, and I feel like they could have expanded on that to make it, you know, more useful. They gave you the screw attack, you know, like when you jump and you can continuously spin in the air. They gave you that super early, and that's like a really powerful move, I feel like. It helps you traverse really fast, and I feel like they were trying to give you more ability to traverse more quickly through the levels this time around. I think they were trying to get rid of this tediousness and this like weight of having to backtrack all the time, and they wanted to speed that up, which I think they did a really good job with that. I just feel like they struggled balancing it to give the game and the level design more depth to challenge the player. You were able to get ship upgrades. Like, this is another part with the ship. You're able to like call in like bombs with your technology on your suit, or you're able to call in the ship to like grapple hook and stuff, or you're able to call in the ship to like land on certain landing zones, and this would allow you to traverse the level on different areas more easily. But when you got upgrades for the ship, it just didn't feel like there was a reason for it. Like okay, I got the missiles for the ship the first time. It's like, okay, that makes sense because now I'm unlocking the missiles and I'm unlocking the grappling hook. Okay, but then it's like, why are you giving me more missiles to shoot from my ship when it never really seems like I needed more missiles ever? So every time I got an upgrade for my ship, it just felt pointless in that sense. I didn't see why I was getting more missiles when I already had missiles. And the ship just seemed to always have missiles, even if I had more or not, I really like Samus's suit slowly changes as you go through the game. Within each like Leviathan seed that you blow up, you get a little bit more infected and corrupted, and so your suit slowly changes color over time, and that was really cool. Yes, and the music. I mean, in most Metroid games, the music is like a bop. The music is so good. And I have always loved the music for these games. But for this one, it wasn't bad, but it just kind of felt like generic background music. It suited the environments and the levels, but for the most part, it just didn't really stand out all that much, besides maybe like one or two soundtracks. So I don't know what happened there. I don't know why it's like they wanted to go for a more atmospheric approach, I guess. I'm not really sure what they were thinking there. Yeah, the motion controls, I didn't mind them. I played on PC, so I used my mouse as the motion control. And when I had to activate like all the the motion controlled like switches and stuff, I just had to hold like W. So I didn't really get to experience like doing all the like different like twists and turns and push and pulls with the Wii motion controls. But I don't think I would have had a problem with it. I think it seems immersive. I think it seems fine. And yeah, the fetch quest at the end wasn't bad at all compared to the first two. This is something that they did way better in the third one than they did in the first two. Like, all those energy canisters that you'd find throughout the worlds, you only needed 5 of them to unlock the code to get to the last level. And there was like 8 or 9 of them in total. And there were usually, you found most of them just by going through the planets normally. There was like maybe 2 that you had to find later on with the ship upgrades that you had. And, you had to like try a little harder to find those 2. But other than that, like, it didn't feel like monotonous or boring, to go find the energy canisters really. And it wasn't overly like just difficult and long, so I really loved that they did that. That was really awesome. I keep on feeling like the Metroids, like they're still in the game, but I feel like they're kind of taking more of a back seat. And I wish the Metroids were, I don't know, emphasized in the story a little bit more. It was cool to see the portaling Phazon Metroids or whatever, just the different kinds of Metroids. It was still cool to see them. I just wish there was a little bit more emphasis on them. And yeah, all in all, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about the game. Um, so like the whole experience was really fun. I really enjoyed it. It did feel a little generic on certain points, especially in the beginning. The first like hour or two felt very generic. But then it kind of like branched off and, you know, it started becoming, had more of a Metroid signature. And I really ended up liking the expansiveness and the interaction with the Galactic Federation and the other bounty hunters towards the end of the game, whereas in the beginning I was kind of put off by it. So I really look forward to seeing Metroid Prime 4 after it's been like whatever 18 years since the last game has come out. You know, now that they have better technology, it'll be really cool to see like if they can implement all the things they wanted to implement with the third one, you know, and really add like space battles and, you know, all this other cool stuff that I'm thinking of, but I'll make another video for that. And yeah, so I hope you guys liked my review. With that being said, I think I would give Metroid Prime 3 an 8.5 out of 10.